Well, here's the shocker for everybody here is that I'm not a tactical war gamer. I've always been
Oh,
strategic,
oh
always.
wow.
And then when Charles and I got together, I mean, of course, anybody that's interested in operational or strategic level is also interested in the tactical. And it's just, I mean, how can you not be? Tanks, man, tanks. So, but that was the games I always played were they weren't always at the strategic level. For example, the old SSI games, um, Gary Grigsby's Kampfgruppe. I I think I wore out the 5 1/4 inch disc on that one. So it's not to say that I never really did tactical war games as kind of where my heart lay, but it certainly was playing second fiddle to the strategic and operational stuff. Especially, not surprisingly, I was Eastern Front guy, and uh, so when you're in the Eastern Front, you tend to be interested in the strategic level, just because there's no conflict like it in the world that we know of that has so much going on. So when we started doing combat mission, the tactical stuff was fairly new to me to get into it at that level, and I haven't regretted it at all. It's just I wish I could. Some some part of me just keeps wanting to get back to a strategic level, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Well, if you guys are partnering to some extent with Slytherin, maybe you can just be, have some sort of plug in the way they have Field of Glory when War in the East 2 comes out. You can plug your battles down to the tactical level.
Yeah, always easier said than done.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. As something the military always asks. Oh, can you hook it into such and such? Oh, no, no, we can't.
But why not? It's so simple.
Oh, but if you give us a couple $1 million, we'll try.
So I think, we probably could take a little bit of a step back. I think there's a lot of people out there, certainly folks who probably listen to the podcast, who are very familiar with Combat Mission. But especially now that you guys are hitting Steam, and you'll probably be exposed to some people who haven't seen the games before, or have maybe seen them but haven't purchased them or whatnot. Maybe we should take a step back and just talk a little bit about what Combat Mission is. And then we can kind of talk about, I think Shock Force 2 would be a good topic to get into, since that's what's going to be coming to Steam first, I believe. I think I saw some comments on your forums that suggested there might be more games coming to Steam if it works out.
Yes. And to Slytherin, they those go hand in hand. So, if we make a product available on Steam, it will also be available on Matrix, but not necessarily the other way around. If Shock Force 2 on Steam doesn't do what we believe it will, so I mean we have high degree of confidence that it will do great, but we're cautious. So if it doesn't, then we might still do more games through Matrix, but not necessarily through Steam.
Awesome. That's good to know. Yeah, I know. I think one of the first things that I saw when people were seeing it was coming to Steam were saying, "Well, what about the rest of the catalog?" Because you guys have a host of games that I think people would enjoy seeing on Steam.
If Shock Force 2 works fine, everything else will work fine. So then we're all in. We won't release them all at once. From a marketing standpoint, that makes no sense, uh, because it makes sense to the existing customer base, but it doesn't make sense for broadening it.
Sure.
Too much all in a short period of time
Sure.
is not a good thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you don't want to throw 8 games, or I'm not sure if it's exactly 8, but you don't want to throw a bunch of games all out there at the same time. People will either be overwhelmed, or they just, they might buy one or two, but it's unlikely that they'll give a lot of attention to everything all at once.
Yep.
You can only eat so much at once. So just taking a little bit of a step back. I mean, I mentioned that I played the original Combat Mission when it came out, and I played the heck out of Combat Mission Barbarossa to Berlin. I still think that might be my favorite of the Combat Mission games, maybe just from a nostalgia factor.